My ankles are still recovering from the latest installment in that Wano and Onigashima greatness of the best-selling manga in history, man. I don't... Yo. insane stuff, man. And one possibility I cannot stop thinking about that was brought up within the chapter stream reaction was the comment that I believe was brought up by Andres Gonzalez, which was, what if this is how we end the act? What about if chapter 1043 is the end of the act? Because I've been thinking, especially after last night, what could possibly be beyond this that would be a chapter break level holy Flagnard's ending? The act ending. The act ending. And the thing is, we already know it's a part of Oda's storytelling philosophy. When something gets to its height, when something reaches its peak in excitement, you switch to something else. So that way you cannot wait to get back to this. Intrigue builds over here. Once it gets to its peak over here, we switch over there. It's a very popular storytelling tactic that Oda's most certainly been using throughout the entire series. But in this point in particular, if Oda were to switch now to around the world content, there is no better time. If there is 5 acts, there is no better time than right here, right now to end the act. And if that's the case, if we end the act with Kaido hitting this man, the member from CP0, so hard he either lands over there with NL or he does a full circle around the globe, however he ends up doing it. And then directly after that, whether it's in a reminiscent drunk phase, suffering from success phase, whatever it is, we see Kaido's mind because we know it's going to mess him up. The fact that he was robbed of the glory of battle once again with somebody whom he considers an equal, somebody who can allow him to go up in there like swimwear. The fact that he was robbed of that once more, it's going to have him in shambles. So it's like now would be the perfect time to transition into that flashback. Now here's the thing. How amazing would it be if we begin Kaido's flashback, or we get like the little black lines indicating there's a flashback, and then the act closes? Because we started this act with Odin's flashback. So now, with a parallel to that, we would end the act beginning Kaido's flashback. We would go around the world, and Act 4, maybe in its entirety, no, not in its entirety, because that's following resolution. It would have to be beginning Act 4 in the same way that the Odin flashback started Act 3, would be Kaido's flashback. And listen, man, I need it. After this week's chapter, like my hype and my love for Kaido is already getting higher and higher every week. But especially after this week's chapter, I need to get into that man's psyche. Because I've just felt so much empathy for him. I just wanted to give Kaido a hug after this week's chapter. Even though he was whooping my boy, my goat with the coat, I just wanted to be like, yo, Kaido, why, man? They just keep stopping you from achieving your potential, bro. Like, you're just trying to find someone out here who can match with you and box with you on an equal playing field. You finally found that. You finally found somebody who, no matter how many times they got whooped, they keep coming back. They keep going up in like swimwear. And here, it's like, man, you've been robbed of it once more. And it's like, that's why I want to go right into his flashback, and I feel like that would be the perfect way to start Act 4 if this is the direction that we're heading in. Now, here's the thing. The around the world stuff. Obviously, the last time we went around the world, it was one of the craziest chapters, or 2 sets of chapters, in the entire series, with chapter 956 and 957. With the abolishment of the Shibukai, stuff happening in the Alabasta Kingdom, Sabo, and Wapol's news. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff from that chapter, right? And then 957 with the bounties. So it's like, what happens if we do go around the world once again? What happens? What are we going to see? I'm going to assume, safe assumptions, we see, oh my, bro, if we go around the world and we see Muggy Kingdom. Yeah, dude, if I see Mihawk, if I see Mihawk boxing the SSG, because this could be the first time we actually get to see what the SSG is. And that is to see the force that they are. The best way to show how much of a force they are is to have them going in against a fierce opponent. Now, I don't care how many individuals you bring towards Mihawk, they're catching L's. You know, that's Mihawk, but it would be a great way to showcase how much an overwhelming force the SSG are if individuals like Mihawk, if individuals like Hancock, if individuals, well, even though the Hancock-Kobe situation probably see some more of that, depending on what Oda wants to show. But that's the thing, Kobe too, man. Kobe's probably worried about X-Drake right now. But regardless, I don't even think he's received a report in a while, so he probably doesn't know everything that's taking place right now. But like being able to see that, could we see Shanks? I mean, the thing is, you know, Shanks being reported from the source himself, from the author himself, to make his move. Obviously, last year, people think it's the movie. I think it's the manga. So either Oda's talking about Shanks making a move in post-Wano, or he thought this Act 3 ending was going to happen last year. So if the Act 3, let's just say potential hypothetical scenario, Act 3 ends, and we see Shanks making a move. I don't know whether if it's pulling up on Blackbeard. He heads out. Like, we just see him and the red-haired pirates all get together on the ship, and they head toward the destination that we have no idea what it is. That, just seeing Shanks in a chapter, that's like, come on, man. Like I said, 50 out of 10. And then Blackbeard. Will we see Blackbeard? Now, I don't think we will see Blackbeard due to the fact that wherever it is that he's heading towards right now, whether it be an ancient weapon, whether it be that he's heading here to Wano, whatever that he's heading towards, I feel like that's going to be very crucial towards the transition from the end of Wano to the next arc or to the next saga. So I feel like we might not see Blackbeard here. I feel like that was a perfect way to keep him out of the picture up until the end. It's going to be great when we see Mr. Zehaha again. But if we do go around the world and the act does end, I'm expecting Revolutionary Army and Shichibukai stuff without question. I think we're going to be seeing really awesome sequences regarding the Shichibukai. We're probably going to see the SSG for the first time. I would not be surprised if we hear the newspaper speak of Vivi being aligned with the Straw Hat Pirates. It was probably that news article that came out with Walpole. And then, in regards to the Revolutionary Army and Sabo, we could finally see him, unless, like I said, unless Oda's saving the Sabo plotline to be, like the Blackbeard thing, a transition from the end of Wano into the next saga, to the final saga. So he could be saving it for that, but we could see the Revolutionary Army themselves making a move. We could cut over to Dragon, or the Kamabaka Kingdom, and we see, you know, the leaders that are there, but we don't see Dragon. Oh my god. Bro, could you imagine the hype there? Like, yo, the Kamabaka Kingdom, we switch over to Ivanka. Ivanka's sweating. Like, yo, I've never seen Dragon like that. He's ready. It's like, oh, yo, where did our commander go? He's made his move. The community was just exploding. Like, yo, Dragon's moving! Like, yo, and then there were so many theories and speculation based on that. Like, yo, is Dragon heading towards the Mighty Joa? Is Dragon heading towards where Sabo is? Where's Dragon going? So I do hope we get to flashback to their headquarters in the Kamabaka Kingdom. See someone, I don't care whether it's Ivanka, Koala, Bello, Betty, whoever it is, just sweating. Like, oh my goodness, Dragon. We're sweating. We're like, yo, Dragon. That'd be so good. So that is most certainly a possibility there on that end. But I think that those are the most likely scenarios right now. And the thing is, with the way this week's chapter ended, I can't rule out any scenarios, man. Like, I really can't. Because this was the biggest ankle breaker so far in this arc, or at least one of the biggest ankle breakers in this arc so far. Like, it was just so crazy. And now I'm not ruling out any scenarios, man. So it's like, post these, if the act truly ends here, I'm not ruling out anything that we could see in these 1, 2, however many chapters we spend around the world. Because obviously, if Oda cuts back again to what's happening around the world, then whatever's happening out there, as it's already being showcased to us, is going to have direct consequences on what we do directly after this arc, and which is, of course, leading into the final saga of this series. So it's like, with all the talk right now with the Gorosei, could we go up to the Mighty Joa? see them once again have another meeting with SS Messenger Sama. I'm not ruling out that possibility either. Even though I think he wants to save something like SS Messenger Sama, Vegapunk, all that for post Wano, if he does want to show another meeting, or if he does want to show M-Sama again, like, I'm not ruling out any of that anymore. Not after this week's chapter. Not after the way that it ended, not after the way how big of an ankle breaker it was. And with the way that we ended off with 956, 957, none of us ever in a million years would have expected what we got in 957 with the bounties. So it's like, and the same thing with 956 happening that soon. Man, I would love to cut to Fujitora as well. I would love to cut to Green Bull. You know, finally seeing Green Bull, though, like I said, I don't know if that's a post-Wano thing or a post-Act thing. But I would love to cut to Green Bull, get to meet him, get to see his character design, to see maybe what his abilities are. Where is he? Who is he, you know, going out to battle? Because the admirals have got to be sent out, right? Akainu. It's like, I want to see the admirals as well, man. It's like, who have they been sent out to go deal with? Because we haven't seen them in a minute. So, man. And it's like, yo, regardless of where we end up going in post, but we gotta figure out something about Sabo. But like I said, with the Revolutionary Army, if we just know the dragon's on the move, I feel like that would be like, okay, we understand. We understand he's moving, he's going in. But like I said, based on just how vague that is, we wouldn't know if he's heading up to the Marijoa or if he's going to where Sabo is. But bro, could you just imagine, we end the around the world stuff finally seeing Sabo, but it's like Sabo and Vivi in like the craziest situation, because like I said, it's peak excitement, you switch. So we go around the world, we see Vivi and Sabo presented with an unwinnable scenario or something just insane. Like, they're back in Alabasta, we see what's taking place in the Alabasta Kingdom, we see everybody, maybe a confirmation that it was Cobra that was killed, whatever it is, and we see Sabo and Vivi again, something happens with them, and then we switch. And it's like something major happens. I don't know, like an admiral shows up, or, you know, we see the SSG for the first time through their perspective. Like, these massive silhouettes are coming in, like, what in the world is that? And Act 4 start. And we're like, no! Like, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could see, actually, that's a very likely scenario. Knowing Oda, we could see this shadowed out silhouette of the SSG through somebody's perspective. Especially through somebody like Sabo, who we know is a very formidable fighter. He's that dude. So it's like, imagine Sabo being shook and be like, oh my goodness, what is that? We see it through his eyes, we cut back, Act 4 starts. Because the thing is, like I said, you gotta raise it here, switch, raise it here, switch. And it's like, yo, what better way than to end the Around the World section with something that huge? Finally seeing Sabo again, finally seeing Vivi again. Then, whether it's the SSG, or maybe even Ancient Weapon, whatever it is, we see a silhouette or something that just has them so shook, and then we switch. Like, what is going on, man? So, but like I said, I don't know whether Oda wants to save all that for post-Wano or have it as an in-between the acts thing. And that's what makes it so exciting. And that's what has me thinking about the Shanks situation, too. If Shanks is going to meet Luffy at the end of Wano, if Shanks is going to show up at the end of Wano, then we might actually see this dude moving in between the acts, unless Oda wants to keep the Shanks thing a secret, because we already know he's getting a movie later on this year. So it's like we kind of already, all of us collectively have an idea that we're going to see him this year in the manga. I feel like we kind of have to, right? So with that being said, if he wants to start that hype early, and instead of just holding it for a surprise, be like, oh, he's on the way. But just keep it vague. Keep it like Dragon and Blackbeard. Be like, he's going somewhere, but we don't know where. You see, that's the way you can build up hype on the Shanks front, too. Unless you want another Marineford situation where he just randomly shows up, would be super hype, insane, and whatnot, which I'm down for that, too. But if he wants to keep it vague, if he wants to do what I think he's going to do with Dragon and what he's already doing with Blackbeard, and just have Shanks moving with his crew, because now it's not by himself. Last couple times we see Shanks by himself. Now we see Lucky Roo, we see Ben Beckman, we see the legends of the Red Haired Pirates, but we see them all move. And it's like, holy flagnards, man. And then honestly, since we're going around the world, and we're already seeing them in the cover story, is it a possibility we could see somebody like Katakuri also trying to take their move, or defending Whole Cake Island against an incoming invasion or something? That's also a very likely scenario, because the thing is, stuff all over the world is popping off. And as we're seeing all this stuff pop off around the world, I'm going to assume we're also going to be receiving news of what's happening elsewhere. So there's a lot of different possibilities that can happen in this post-act stuff. I am so excited. Like, if we are truly about to end the act, if this is our act ending scenario where things are so drastic in Onigashima right now, and we switch to around the world, we're in for one of the best months in the history of One Piece. I'm not even, like, in the history of One Piece, because this year has already been started off with such an amazing bang. We've had some amazing chapters this year, and this last one might have been the best one of them all, man. And then to have the act end, and then after the act ends, we go around the world. We see all that craziness take place, and then right as all that craziness takes place, we cut back to Onigashima, and we're greeted with Rocks, D, Zebek, Charlotte Linlin, Edward Newgate, and Kaido, Hyakuju no Kaido. And we get to see the God Valley incident. Nah, man, yo. Ah! Look, the Odin flashback. At this point in time, if we're gonna go all out with the flashbacks in Wano, let's go all out. Let's go all out. Let's have a flashback as legendary as Odin's, but with Kaido. And let's have a Rocks flashback. I'm down for it. The whole community. We are fiending for that Kaido flashback. I mean, I don't care how long it is. Inject it, bro. And it's like, those are the scenarios that are possible after this week's chapter. Because now that all this has happened, it's like, yo, if there was any point in time for either a flashback or an act break or both, it's now. It is now, man. And I am so hyped. I cannot wait for the next chapter of One Piece, bro. It's going to be so crazy. These, of course, are just hypothetical scenarios, but if some of the stuff were to actually take place, or at the very least the idea, the general concept were to take place of the end of the act, go around the world, come back, Kaido flashback, I'm telling y'all, this stretch of chapters would go down in legend. This is some volume 59 level of holy Flagnard's peak fiction. You know what I mean? And so I cannot wait for what's about to take place. Let me know y'all's thoughts on what we could potentially see when we go around the world. Do you think we'll see the SSG? Do you think we'll see the Shichibukai? Do you think we'll finally see Sabo? And all those things, getting answers to certain things, like what Wapo said about Vivi. Will we find that out? Dragon. Will we see Dragon making his move? Will we see the Admirals? What are we going to see if we do go around the world again? And will we see Shanks making his move now? Or will we see Shanks making his move at the end of Wano? We'll see what happens. I'll see y'all next time. A lot of food for thought, man. It's an exciting time to be a fan of this wonderful story. And I look forward to seeing all of your comments. Thanks so much for watching. One Piece is in a good spot. I need the next chapter, man.